Hey everyone, either welcome back or welcome to my channel. And in today's video, I want to talk about the roller coaster of emotions and overall the roller coaster of what IIH can be like to deal with as you go throughout the diagnosis process, the treatment process, and all of that. So before I get into any more details, time for the intro.
Hey everyone, my name is Ashley Stewart. Back in 2018, I was diagnosed with IIH. The long form of this name is called idiopathic intracranial hypertension. Some of you may also know this condition by its older names, either pseudotumor cerebri or benign intracranial hypertension. So if you're curious to learn more about what it's like to live with this condition, or what those of us living with this condition would like you to know, then I strongly encourage you to watch on. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell down below so that you get updated about further videos. I upload new content every Monday and Thursday afternoon.
I think the best way to describe IIH and going through it as an experience is like a never-ending roller coaster. There is ups and downs and twists and turns, and you're never able to predict what you're going to experience next, whether you're going to have an up or a down or a twist in treatment plan or something else is going to come up. Comparing my IIH experience to my biochemistry degree, the ups and downs and the twists and turns were unpredictable during my degree as well. You think you're doing really, really well, you get a bad test mark back and you go downhill, and then you do better on an exam that you didn't think you did well on, so that gives you a little bit of a boost and a little bit of motivation to keep going. And so you experience an up, and then you get your credit, end up with a better score than what you anticipated. Unfortunately, sometimes the opposite always happened, but for me, usually I ended up with better scores than what I thought I would end up with, just because I did terrible with my midterm exams. It was a lot of time management and extra stress, and I just didn't handle the stress very well during midterm season because I was managing everything else around it and really wasn't effectively using my time. Well, that's in my opinion why I didn't do as well, but I think the exam anxiety played a major role in that. Around having to manage a study schedule and then learning new material every single day was just pushing it a little bit too far. I've mentioned this before in comments and I've mentioned it in videos, but I experienced a major student burnout at the end of my degree. I actually had lost my passion for science, which is a fundamental part of my personality. I have loved science from the time I was about probably 3 or 4 years old. So it resulted in some really, really bad emotional issues too. I don't remember actually being depressed at the time, but I was extremely, extremely frustrated. Basically, I just had to put everything to the side because I had to finish my degree. Had I not been in my final semester, I don't know what would have happened with the outcome of my degree. I honestly have no idea, but I'm glad that everything happened when it did, because it gave me the motivation to finish. Now on to how IIH is a roller coaster. So it started off with a lot of frustration because I was having trouble getting a diagnosis. My diagnosis process I consider actually fairly smooth, except for the fact that after I had my lumbar puncture, I ended up with a leak. So I needed to have a blood patch done. And that week was a single roller coaster all on its own. I've talked about this in a video, so I'm not going to get into any details, but I can link it above. So if you want to check that out, I highly recommend that you do. After diagnosis, there was a roller coaster in itself with the acetazolamide. So I was started out at 500 milligrams a day, so one tablet twice a day. And I was given that for 2 weeks, and then I was supposed to double the dose. I had so many side effects in the first couple of months from being on the acetazolamide that they actually had to lower it to 750 milligrams a day, which was really annoying because I had to eat 3 times a day because the medication makes me nauseous. So that's not fun. In about January of this year, so 2019, I was able to finally go up to 1 gram. I haven't really talked about much detail about the medication that I'm on, which is acetazolamide, or Diamox is the brand name. I use a generic version. They thought about putting me onto Pyramid at that time, and they didn't do it at that time. They really wanted me to stick with the acetazolamide. And so that was fine. So we just gave it enough time, and then they upped the dose of it to 1 gram. And once I was used to the side effects, it was good, but it took about 3 months before I got used to the fatigue. Even when they increased it to 1 gram, I was still having trouble with the fatigue, but I was just told it's probably just a part of the medication. You're just gonna have to learn to live with it. And I still think that's the case. I wonder sometimes how much the fatigue is due to the medication, but without going off of the medication, I don't know. Dealing with when you have headaches and all that, you have no control over when you're gonna have symptoms unless you figure out some of your triggers of symptoms. And even then, sometimes you have no control over it. In March, April of 2019, it's in my vlog, or it's in my updates. If you watch my updates from when I started to all the way through, you'll notice what kind of the plan I've been on. And I can't remember if it was March, April, or May, but at some point in there, I was taken off amitriptyline and put onto Pyramid. I believe this was early. This was in March or April, I think. And this was because amitriptyline has a side effect of weight gain. So they wanted me off of that. And then they put me on Pyramid, and that's where I had the bad experience that I did with the Pyramid. I was on it for about 3 weeks to a month, I believe, if I remember right. And that was the worst experience I've ever had with a medication. Again, I will link the video up here. I had just kind of gotten off of the Pyramid and back to what I consider fairly normal. And then I broke my ankle. So that was another roller coaster and gave me a very, very rough time. Not that long ago, I was put on Lasix or furosemide and have been doing quite well since. So I'm really, really happy about that. It's reduced the amount of headaches that I'm getting, at least just regular headaches. So that's been comforting. The emotional roller coaster has been with getting symptoms still, even though there's not really much more than I can be doing as far as I'm concerned. I've completed my weight loss. I've adopted pretty much everything that I can think of as far as lifestyle modifications. That's been a little bit frustrating, to say the least. If and when I come off of the acetazolamide, I'm sure that there's going to be a roller coaster involved with that too. I've been on the medication for so long now, I'm sure there's going to be some side effects of coming off the medication. Let me know if you guys wanted me to do a video about what concerns me about going off of the medication. If you guys have any questions or comments that you'd like to add to this video, maybe share your story about what kind of ups and downs you've been through with the condition, feel free to leave a comment down below. And as for now, that's it for today. Bye everyone.